Arthur Petrova, Mutlu 40, Yast günleri Marija, Marija's Big 4-0. Welcome to Flat 74, Charrington Court. A proper fucking eyesore in Romford, innit? It is 1800 hours on Monday, September 12th, 2016, and the atmosphere is pure shit. This dark, dismal flat on the 6th floor feels like a prison cell, cramped and small, while the road below screams with a cacophonous roar that would drive anyone up the wall. Petar stands by the window, his blue glasses reflecting the twilight's gray, pathetic gloom, looking like a man who's trapped in a nightmare, pacing the confines of this tiny, wretched room. Chestit Rajdandan, my love, he mutters, his voice a gravelly, tired sound, as he looks at the peeling wallpaper and the damp patches that seem to be gaining ground. Outside, the bins are overflowing, a mountain of filth that smells like a dead man's breath, making this birthday celebration feel like a slow, agonizing march towards some kind of urban death. Marija enters the room, her orange glasses a bright spark against the abysmal shadow-filled space, trying to force a smile onto her weary 40-year-old face. Inside, the sitting room is transformed into a birthday palace of vivid orange hue, with balloons like suns against the walls of charcoal and miserable blue. A gold 40 balloon drifts near the ceiling, a mocking, shiny weight, as Marija celebrates another year of this dark, Romford-bound fate. The irony of the date is not lost on her, for the world outside is a liar, showing midwinter flora in September, as if the seasons themselves had set the calendar on fire. The trees are bare, skeletal fingers scratching at a leaden, heavy sky, where the wind howls a sibilant warning to every miserable bastard passing by. Life here is a joke, a cruel exacerbation of their daily grinding stress, living in a substandard tip that's nothing but a cluttered, soul-destroying mess. Marija adjusts her long orange sleeves, an indispensable facade to conceal the atrocious truth of her past, where boiling water left its mark on her skin, a memory that was always meant to last. Although she tries to be brave, the scars are a map of a tragedy that happened when she was just a lass, a reminder that life can shatter your spirit as easily as a thin sheet of cheap Romford glass. She's the apple of Petar's eye, a gem in this rough, tattered, and broken down town, but even his love can't stop the weight of the world from constantly pulling her down. Obikante, Marija, Petar whispers, reaching out to touch her shoulder with a hand that's rough and kind, seeking a moment of peace that they both know is getting harder and harder to find. Stuff and nonsense, Aurora shouts from the hallway, her voice a sharp, loquacious blade that cuts through the gloom as she stomps her feet in the narrow, lightless doorway of the sitting room. She's only 9, but she's got a mouth on her like a sailor who's had one too many pints of gin, and she's sick to death of this flat and the tiny, suffocating walls that she's currently living in. She gives her parents the cold shoulder, her pink glasses glinting with a resentment that's grown deep and wide, for she's on borrowed time in this town, and there's nowhere left for her to run or hide. The move to Great Bad Owl is looming like a fucking shadow, a date set for the 28th of the month, and the thought of leaving her mates makes her want to punch some poor bastard into a bloody, tattered pulp. Arthur is right behind her, 2 peas in a pod, wearing green glasses and a suit of the same vibrant emerald hue, looking like a miniature gent who's lost his way in a world that's consistently, miserably blue. He's fit as a fiddle, but his heart is heavy, for he's the apple of his sister's eye and she's his world, watching the banner of their childhood being slowly, relentlessly, and cruelly unfurled. At this time of life, things should be easy, a bed of roses and a sky full of bright summer sun. But for the Petrova kids, the misery of adulthood has already, prematurely, and fucking tragically begun. They don't squabble, these two. They are a unit, a duo against the shit show of their current life, standing tall in the face of the move and the constant biting edge of their parents' strife. Petar picks up the Bible, his fingers tracing the worn edges of the holy, leather-bound book, seeking a light at the end of the tunnel with a desperate, soul-searching, and frantic look. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, he reads aloud from Philippians chapter 4, verse 13, his voice a steady anchor in a sea of doubt that's getting increasingly, dangerously mean. But his words fall on deaf ears, for the kids aren't interested in the Lord's mysterious and convoluted ways, not when their whole lives are being uprooted in a matter of a few short, agonizing days. They are trapped in a dilemma, a spiritual and physical crossroads where the path ahead is obscured and dim, while Petar clings to his faith like a drowning man clutching at a splintered, rotting wooden rim. I don't want to outgrow my mate's dad. It's bollocks, Aurora snaps, her loquacious tongue wagging with a fury that's starting to alienate the very people she's supposed to love. She's sick of the bicker and the talk of a new start, for to her, Great Baddow is just a fancy name for a place that's going to rip her bleeding heart apart. They don't squabble with each other, but the siblings are united in their hatred of the move, a shared resentment that's found a deep, jagged, and permanent groove. They are leaving their school, their territory, the only place where they feel like they actually belong, and the thought of being the new kids in a posh town feels fundamentally, catastrophically fucking wrong. Arthur nods in agreement, his silence a powerful metaphor for the grief that's swelling inside his small, green-clad chest. Right, enough of this moping. It's Marija's big day, so let's get the whole 9 yards of formal gear on and head out before the night fades away. Petar tries to be ecstatic, to elate the room with a burst of false, energetic, and desperate cheer, but the tension in the flat is so thick you could cut it with a rusty, Romford-made spear. Marija stands up, her long black hair swaying as she smooths down her orange dress, an understated beauty in a world that's nothing but a cluttered, chaotic, and abysmal mess. They look distinguished, a family of 4 in their primary colored, formal, and expensive attire, standing amidst the ruins of their Romford life like survivors of a slow-burning urban fire. Petar adjusts his blue tie, his glasses catching the flicker of a single, lonely candle on the shelf. Hold your horses, Arthur. Don't forget your coat. Petar calls out as they head for the door, leaving the eyesore of Flat 74 behind as they descend to the ground floor. They reach the red Audi, a flash of scarlet against the gray, concrete wasteland of Charrington Court, a car that's seen better days but still serves as their reliable metal and mechanical fort. The bins outside are a disgrace, a mountain of filth that's been sitting there for weeks on end, a reminder that in this part of town, there isn't a single person you can truly call a friend. Petar unlocks the doors with a beep, the sound an electronic sharp chirp in the quiet, damp evening air, as the family piles into the leather seats with a sense of lingering, heavy, and profound despair. They drive through the streets of Romford, passing the 165 and the 370 bus as they crawl along their Havering routes, a monotonous cycle of urban life that's been going on since the very first time the town grew its roots. The town is chock-a-block, a sea of red buses and gray faces staring out from the rain-streaked glass, a tedium of existence that makes every single hour feel like it's never going to fucking pass. Romford is devoid of peace, a place where the noise is a constant, rhythmic, and ear-shattering throb, where the streets are filled with the desperate, the tired, and the occasional violent Romford mob. Aurora stares out of the window, her pink glasses reflecting the neon lights of the shops they pass by, feeling the weight of the move like a physical blow. They pull into the Sainsbury's car park, an 11-hour decision to grab a cake for the big 4-0, before Petar changes his mind and decides that they should just stay home and let the whole thing go. He is exhilarated by the task, a man on a mission to find the perfect, cream-filled and jam-laden treat, while the rest of the family follows him through the sliding doors with heavy, reluctant, and dragging feet. The supermarket is a U-turn from the darkness outside, a bright, fluorescent, and artificial world where the problems of the Petrovas are momentarily, fleetingly, and inadequately furled. Marija walks beside Arthur, her hand on his shoulder as they navigate the aisles of bread and tin, feeling the cold air of the chillers biting deep into her aging, orange-covered, and scarred-up skin. This cake is the business in it? It's going to hit the nail on the head. Petard declares as he carries the box to the checkout, ignoring the way Aurora is looking at him like he's a man who's completely and utterly lost his head. "Are you taking the Mickey, Dad? A supermarket cake for Mom's big day?" She mutters under her breath, her voice a sharp, sibilant hiss that's filled with a resentment that's stronger than the fear of death. She's loquacious, this one, a girl who can't help but point out the flaws in every single thing her parents try to do, a juvenile critic who's seen too much of the world's dark, ugly, and miserable hue. Arthur just watches, his green glasses reflecting the white lights of the store as he stands by his sister's side. They head back to the car, the red Audi waiting for them like a patient, metal, and loyal beast, as they prepare to head toward the restaurant for their Turkish, grilled, and celebratory birthday feast. Mangalmeze is by no means a palace, but it's the best spot in town for a bit of grilled meat and an atmosphere that's loud, boisterous, and proper down to earth. As the Audi pulls up to the curb, a red flag of warning starts to flutter in the back of Marija's mind. A feeling that this evening isn't going to be the kind of birthday treat that she was ever hoping to find. The restaurant's windows are steamed up, a blur of warm light and the shadows of people eating within, a stark contrast to the cold, bare trees outside. They are greeted at the door by Ice, a waitress with a smile that's far more than one bargained for on a cold, miserable September night. "Hoş welcome to Mangalmeze," she chirps, her voice a bright, melodic, and Turkish sound that seems to momentarily, fleetingly, put the Petrova's gloom to flight. She leads them toward a table in the corner, her movements graceful and quick as she navigates the busy, chock-a-block room, unaware that she's leading the family toward a moment of sudden, violent, and life-changing doom. Petard follows her, his blue glasses glinting in the warm orange light of the restaurant's lamps, looking like a man who's finally found a bit of peace. "Teşekkür ederim," he says, trying to be a polite, distinguished guest. The restaurant is filled with the scent of grilled lamb and the sound of Turkish music, a rhythmic ecstasy of sound that fills the room and drowns out the noise of the buses passing by. Marija sits down, her orange sleeves resting on the white tablecloth as she looks at the menu, trying to find a bit of joy in this small, celebratory, and fleetingly peaceful birthday ride. "Nasılsınız?" Ice asks as she hands out the menus, her eyes bright with a genuine kindness that the Petrovas haven't seen in a very long time. But for Aurora, this kindness is just another insult, another piece of the fake artificial performance being staged for her mother's big, 40-year-old and miserable crime. She stares at the waitress with a cold, hard gaze, her pink glasses a barrier. The table is set, a precarious stage for a family drama that's been brewing for weeks, a dilemma of existence that's written in the lines of their tired, worn-out Bulgarian cheeks. They are all walking on eggshells, a delicate dance of avoidance and false cheer that's making everyone feel like they are sitting on pins and needles, waiting for the inevitable catastrophe. Petard tries to instigate a conversation about the move, talking about the light at the end of the tunnel and the spacious green gardens of Great Badau. But his words fall flat. Aurora is fuming, her heart a heavy lump of coal in her chest as she listens to her father's lies. Feeling the rage building up behind her pink glasses, Arthur sits beside her, a mirror of her mood. "Are you for real, Dad? You think a fucking garden is gonna make up for everything we're losing?" Aurora finally snaps, her voice a sharp, petulant blade that cuts through the restaurant's warm air. She's infuriated, an erratic firecracker that's finally found its fuse, and she doesn't give a single solitary toss about who she hurts or what she's about to lose. Marija looks at her daughter with a weary, defeated gaze, her orange glasses sliding down her nose as she feels the evening slipping away into a world of dark inescapability. "Don't speak to your father like that, you little cow," she says, her voice lacking conviction as the tension in the room reaches its final, ultimate, and most dangerous hour. But Aurora is beyond caring. Arthur is right there with her, his loquacious silence a more powerful statement than any words he could ever choose to say, standing by his sister as the evening enters its final display. He doesn't squabble with her, he just supports her, a silent accomplice in her rage, who's ready to follow her into the dark heart of their shared, miserable Romford-style stage. Petar is livid, his blue glasses glinting with the fury that's been building up for years. A man who's tired of the constant bicker and the soul-destroying tears. That's enough, Aurora. Shut your mouth before I give you something to really cry about, he roars, his voice a thunderous sound that makes the other diners turn their heads with profound doubt. The last straw comes at the drop of a hat, a premature explosion of rage that's been building up in Aurora's heart since the very first day they told her about the great Bad Owl move. She's incensed, a girl who's had more than she can bargain for, and she's about to instigate a moment of chaos that will change the course of their lives forever. I hate you, she screams, her voice a shrill, piercing, and ear-shattering sound that makes the glasses on the table rattle and the very floor beneath her feet seem to shake and groan. In a moment of pure, violent madness, she reaches out and grabs the edge of the heavy wooden table, determined to show them all that she's far more dangerous than she's ever been. With the audacity of a girl who's got nothing left to lose, Aurora heaves the table upward with a strength that seems to come from some dark, ancient Romford-style fuse. The table flips, a massive, heavy piece of furniture that goes pear-shaped in a matter of a single, agonizing, and catastrophic second. Plates and glasses fly through the air, a rain of porcelain and shards that shatters against the floor in a burst of pure pandemonium that no one could have ever reckoned. Isa's standing right there, caught red-handed by the sudden, violent movement of the table as it crashes through the air toward her, a victim of a moment of bedlam she could never have foreseen. The restaurant is a scene of anarchy. Crack. The sound is sickening, a hollow, sharp, and bone-shattering thud that echoes through the restaurant like a gunshot in a cold, damp wood. To make matters worse, the table strikes Azi's leg with a force that's truly appalling, sending the poor waitress crashing to the floor in a heap of shattered glass and white fondant. It's the ultimate add insult to injury, a birthday cake smeared across the floor beside a woman whose life has just been shattered by the hand of a 9-year-old girl who was oblivious to the void she was about to pour. Isa screams, a sound of pure, visceral pain that fills the restaurant and makes the other diners stand up in shock. Her leg is bent at an atrocious angle, a sight that makes Marija gasp and Petar freeze in his tracks. Fuck! Aurora, what have you done? Petar screams, his voice a mix of fury and horror as he looks at the scene of bedlam and the woman lying broken on the floor in a pool of pain and cream-filled cake. He's livid, irate, and completely off his rocker, caught red-handed by the reality of his daughter's rage and the fact that they are now in a situation that's truly, dangerously beyond any kind of mockery. Marija is inconsolable, her hands over her mouth as she stares at Isa, feeling the weight of the move, and the birthday, and the scars on her arms all crashing down on her in a single, agonizing wave. They are a family in jeopardy, a group of people who are now facing the consequences of a moment of madness. There is no love lost in this restaurant now, only a sense of sudden, violent dread as the Petrovas realize that they have to leave, and they have to leave fucking now before the police arrive. They are crestfallen, a family of 4 who have reached the penultimate moment of their Romford life, leaving behind a trail of broken bones and shattered glass. Petar grabs the kids, his hands rough and frantic as he pulls them toward the door, ignoring the screams of Aze and the stares of the other diners who are standing in a state of shocked roar. They burst out into the cold, damp evening air, the bare trees a silent witness to their escape, as they scramble into the red Audi and prepare to leave the scene of their most violent scrape. As the Audi roars away from the curb, leaving the lights of Mongomeze behind in a blur of red and gray, the Petrovas realize that their lives will never be the same after this dark birthday day. They are in dire jeopardy, a family on the run from a situation far beyond anything they bargained for, facing the demise of their old life. The ultimate cliffhanger hangs over them like a heavy, leaden cloud as they drive toward Great Bad Owl with the weight of Azi's scream ringing in their ears like a loud, sibilant shroud. Will they escape the consequences of Aurora's rage? Or is this just the beginning of a new chapter? Marija looks at Arthur in the back seat. wondering if there's any hope left for them at all, or if they finally missed the mark.